Nobody talks about what I saw that afternoon. Not because it wasn't real. Because it was too real. The kind of thing you see and immediately look around to check if anyone else caught it. And then, you make eye contact with a stranger, and neither of you say a word. And you both just sort of exhale. That was the afternoon outside Clarence's house. November. The sky doing that thing it does in London in November where it can't decide between gray and darker gray. So it just commits to both at once. Cold enough that your nose runs before you've even left the tube station. The kind of cold that makes tourists regret every decision that led them to this pavement. I wasn't a tourist. I'd been working 2 streets over. A contract job, nothing interesting. And I cut through that way most days because it shaved 7 minutes off my walk and I am, above all things, a man who values 7 minutes. There were maybe 40, 50 people clustered near the gate. The usual mixture. A school group from somewhere in the Midlands. You could tell by the matching high-vis vests, and the teacher who looked like she'd aged 4 years since the coach left the car park. A handful of Japanese tourists with proper camera equipment, the kind that makes your phone feel like a toy. 2 American women in matching puffer jackets, red, both of them, holding a guidebook between them like a life raft. The guard at the post was young. Not baby-faced young, but young in the way that still got some surprise left in it. Ramrod straight, the bearskin hat making him look like he was balancing a small bear on his head. Eyes front, jaw set. The whole performance of stillness they train them into. That particular brand of human-shaped furniture. I stopped because one of the American women had inched close enough to get a selfie, and I wanted to see if he'd do anything. He didn't. They never do. Not for that. That's when the car came through. Not a siren. No motorcycle outriders. Just a black Jaguar, the kind with tinted windows dark enough to be doing something deliberate, moving at that particular speed that means do not be in my way, but I won't be rude about it. The gate attendant moved. Somebody inside must have cleared it already because there was no pause, no radio, just the gate swinging and the car sliding through. And then it stopped. Not all the way through. Halfway. Just stopped. The driver's window didn't go down. Nothing moved. The car just sat there, half in, half out of the gate like it had forgotten something. The teacher from the Midlands grabbed 2 kids by their high-vis collars on instinct. The guard at the post, I'll call him Thomas, I don't know his name, but he had a Thomas energy, methodical, considered. Thomas did not move. Eyes front, jaw set, protocol. Then, the rear passenger window slid down. An inch, maybe 2, and a hand came out. Small hand, child's hand, for fingers extended, thumb tucked. Not a wave, not a greeting. Something specific, a gesture with shape to it, intention in it. The fingers held for 3 full seconds, and then, the hand disappeared back into the tinted dark, and the window slid back up. Thomas moved, not toward the car, away from his post, toward the senior officer stationed 12 feet to his left, a man I hadn't even clocked before, older, broader, standing very still near the inner wall with the specific alertness of someone pretending not to be alert. Thomas reached him in 6 steps, leaned in, said something in maybe 4 words. The older officer's expression didn't change. That's the thing about them, the expression never changes. But something behind his eyes did. A calculation, a decision being made in real time. He spoke into his radio. 1 sentence, maybe 2. The Jaguar's engine, which had never fully cut out, shifted register. You feel it before you hear it. And the car pulled forward. Through the gate. Around the curve, and out of sight. The gate closed. Thomas walked back to his post. Eyes front. Jaw set. Like nothing had happened. The American women looked at each other. One of them said, "Did that kid just?" And the other one said, "I don't know." And neither of them finished the sentence. I stood there another 30 seconds. The school group was already moving on, the teacher counting heads. The Japanese tourists had their cameras up, but I could tell from the angle they'd been shooting the gate, not the window. They'd missed it. I was cold. I had 7 minutes to save. I walked. But I kept thinking about those 4 fingers. The specificity of them. The way Thomas had known. I told my colleague Marcus about it the next morning. He's the kind of person who reads 3 newspapers before 8 a.m. and considers that a light morning. So if anyone was going to have context, it was him. He was quiet for a moment, refilling his coffee. The kind of quiet that means he's organizing something. "What time?" he said. "Just after 3. "Which gate exactly?" I told him. He set the coffee pot down and looked at me in that particular way. Not disbelief, more like calibration. Like he was adjusting the numbers on something. There was a function, he said. Low-key. Not announced. Some kind of, I don't know the right word. Informal gathering. Clarence house. Family adjacent. Family adjacent. Means some people were invited who weren't on the official schedule. I let that sit. Camilla was there, he said. It wasn't a question. I hadn't known that. I hadn't known anything. I'd just been a man saving 7 minutes. He picked the coffee back up. You know how it works in those circles. The kids have, I don't want to say training, because that sounds sinister, and it's not sinister exactly. It's more like fluency. They grow up in a language of signals and formality, and there are things you communicate through posture and proximity and apparently gesture. The 4 fingers. I don't know what 4 fingers means. Could mean anything. Could mean hold position or not yet, or I need a moment, or, he shrugged. Could mean I saw something I didn't like, and I need the adults to sort it. She's 9, I said. Thereabouts. And 9 in that family is not 9 in most families. He wasn't being unkind about it. Just factual. They're not trained to be robotic. It's more like, they understand that they're always in a situation. Always in a context. And they develop their own vocabulary for navigating it. I thought about the hand. The tidiness of it. The 3 seconds it held, deliberate, not fidgeting. The guard moved immediately, I said. He didn't hesitate. He went straight to the senior officer. Marcus nodded slowly. That tells you something. That he recognized it. That he knew to look. He corrected me gently. There's a difference. Recognizing it means it's happened before, or he's been briefed on it. Knowing to look means someone decided that the children's signals are part of what the protection detail watches for. I sat with that. Outside the window, London was doing its usual gray shuffle. A bus. A man with a dog. A woman arguing quietly on her phone. What do you think she saw? I asked. Marcus opened his laptop. Didn't answer immediately. He has this habit of taking questions seriously enough to not answer them fast. I think, he said eventually, that if a 9-year-old girl in that specific car at that specific gate felt something was wrong enough to put her hand out a window, in a moving vehicle, in a formal setting, where she has been taught from birth that composure is the baseline, then something was wrong. He looked at me over the top of the screen, and I think the guard agreed with her assessment. I hadn't eaten breakfast. I was thinking about it now even less. The car pulled forward right after the radio call. I said, whoever he called, they didn't question it. They just said move the car. Right. That fast. That fast, Marcus confirmed. He turned back to his screen, which meant he was done, which was how Marcus ended conversations. There's a chain of decision-making in those situations that is much shorter than people imagine. Because it has to be. You don't have time to run a committee. I finished my own coffee. Cold by then. Here's what I kept coming back to, walking home that night. The guard didn't do nothing. He didn't dismiss it. A child held 4 fingers out a moving car window for 3 seconds, and a trained adult professional broke away from a post he was not supposed to leave. Broke the stillness that is their whole discipline, their whole public performance, and went and told someone. He didn't know what she'd seen. He didn't know if she was right. He just decided she was worth listening to. It's been 4 months. I don't obsess over it. I'm not that person. I don't have a conspiracy board or a Reddit thread or a folder on my phone. I'm just a man who cuts through the same street to save 7 minutes, and happened to be standing in the right place at the wrong time, or the wrong place at the right time. I can never remember which way that expression goes. But I've thought about it. What I keep coming back to isn't the signal, actually. It's what came after the signal. I've been to Trooping the Color. I've stood outside the palace on random Tuesdays just waiting to see the change of guard because it's one of those London things you do when you've lived here long enough to run out of excuses not to. I know what those guards look like when they're doing nothing. I know that stillness. The chest not even visibly rising and falling. Eyes that are somehow forward and empty and aware all at once. It is a specific kind of discipline. It is not passive. It takes, I don't know the word, investment, active stillness. The choice to not move, made constantly, in real time, against every human instinct. And Thomas made the opposite choice. He moved. He crossed 12 feet of courtyard. He spoke. He went back. The whole thing took under a minute, and no one in the crowd, except me, and the 2 women in red, and they weren't sure what they'd seen. No one clocked it as unusual. Because he came back. Because his face didn't break. Because the gate closed, and the car disappeared, and London kept doing its gray shuffle. But he moved. I think about what that means when you're trained the way they're trained. Moving is a decision. It's not an accident. It's not a reflex. To leave a post, to break the visual geometry of the guard performance, you have to calculate that what you're responding to is more important than the protocol you're breaking to respond to it. He made that calculation in about 2 seconds. For fingers, 3 seconds, 2 seconds of decision. And he moved. Here's the part one can't verify, so I'll be straight with you. I don't know what happened inside that building before the car came through. I don't know what Camilla said or didn't say, what the atmosphere was like, what a 9-year-old girl in a very formal gathering might have felt or seen or understood in that particular room on that particular gray November afternoon. I know what children notice. I have a niece, she's 7, and she is a better reader of rooms than most adults I work with. Kids that age, especially kids who've been raised in high-formality environments where adults are always performing, they develop a particular sensitivity to the gap between what people are saying and what they mean. They can hear the temperature of a room drop without a thermometer. I'm not saying anything happened. I'm saying a child with 4 fingers and 3 seconds said something happened, in the language she had available to her, to the person she trusted to be listening. And he was. The 2 women in red were still near the gate when I finally walked on. I heard one of them say to the other, "I want to say it was Charlotte, but I can't be sure." Her friend said, "Does it matter who it was?" First woman paused. "No," she said. "I suppose it doesn't." She was right. It doesn't matter who the hand belonged to, not really. What matters is what the hand said. What matters is that someone listened. That a man in a bearskin hat in the middle of a gray November afternoon decided that a child's signal was worth breaking protocol for, and acted on it without waiting for permission or certainty or proof. We don't talk enough about that kind of listening. The fast kind. The kind that moves on incomplete information because the cost of being wrong about not moving is higher than the cost of being wrong about moving. He didn't know. He just decided she was worth the risk of being wrong. I cut through that street on my way home tonight. Force of habit. The gate was closed. The post was occupied. A different guard, I think.